We'll talk about land and farming and
Yeah, it's
being
I
being
mean,
so far away from the neighbors.
I like it. I mean, it's peaceful, right? It's cutting the grass. There's
It
nothing but
is.
6 hours on a tractor is the most peaceful 6 hours of my week.
It's like 6 hours of meditation.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I put the headphones on. There was no, "Hey, Dad, I need
Yep.
something." No one calling me. It was lovely. It was a very peaceful 6 hours.
Sounds
So
like you miss it.
I do a little bit. Again, my ex and I are very tight, so I'm lucky enough. I'll go up there and help her if she needs. Like, hey, tree for like it's a bad storm last week, so
Mm.
got the chainsaw, cut a tree up for her. But it's good. I still feel like it's my place, but it's not. But I love being outside. It's a great way to spend a weekend.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you got to ground yourself.
Yeah, especially you guys know coming from the automobile space, the grind, the hours, the overall just crushing it
Hmm.
all day, every day. You need to be able to check out and walk away from it for a period of time. And that was my escape for sure. For
True
sure.
that.
Was most of it grass? Was it wooded?
Um,
Or
about
what it?
18 acres were grass. There was
That's a
very
lot of
little
Wow.
wood.
mowing.
Yeah, there was a lot of mowing. About 18, but there was about an acre pond, which was really nice, fully stocked. So that was really
Mm.
cool. There was some woods along the edge, which was really nice. So it blocked the one neighbor for sure. Um, but no, it was mostly grass. So
Hmm.
Yeah, that'll
And
keep you
we've
busy.
we've got some land up here, but most of it's forest.
uh, it was the best part about it was I built a golf hole. So I had enough for like a probably a 400-yard dog leg left. Uh, down the hill. You drove from the top of the hill down the hill to a good landing area. You could actually probably have anywhere 50-yard landing area that you could land in, then another turn hard left. And I mowed it one time really short. I mowed the fairway and I mowed a green and some tee boxes, and I got to play it about 400 times. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Nice. Be
Yeah,
able to walk into the backyard and play some golf.
play a little golf for sure, for sure.
All right. Well, 10 seconds till showtime.
All right.
All right.
All right. Here we are.
It's Friday already.
Yeah, that
Friday.
came quick. So, Dan, welcome to Refresh Friday.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to the experience.
Well, as a newcomer, you get to introduce yourself or tell us a bit about yourself, especially your background in the dealerships.
Yeah.
So, I am a third generation car guy. My father owned a dealership down in Selma, Alabama for many years. He worked up here for some of the stores as a controller for a long period of time. My grandfather worked for Henry Ford back in the Ford Motor days and was a regional service director in the Washington, D.C. area, which is how he ended up here in the D.C. area. My brother as well, car guys, graduated high school or college, went right in the car business, and called me one day when I was my senior year thinking about going to law school and said, forget law school, you're coming in the car business. Uh, Went to car business, right out of college, basically. I mean, I sold my first car at my dad's dealership at 13 years old, so that was my first actual sales experience, which was fun because no one was helping a customer. My dad said, "Go out and help them." So I went out and helped them, and he said, "Well, it's your guy now. You got to sell him the car. You got to do the paperwork." So I think I got $25 for that deal. So it wasn't a great commission, but it was a fun experience. Starting the car business, went to Pat Ryan School to go to finance, sold for a period of time at a store that doesn't exist anymore out in Laurel. That was a interesting combination of manufacturers, Saab, Volkswagen, Land Rover, Honda.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah,
Hmm.
yes, very interesting combination. Sold, did very well, and then went right into finance for a Ford store and then worked my way up to where I was running the finance department and running a controller and running a store, for the Herb Gordon Group for a long period of time. I stepped away from Herb Gordon after about a decade and started a company around the automobile space, helping dealerships find lost and unclaimed incentives from the manufacturers. We all know in this space that there's a lot of rebate money that is floated out there. If the dealers don't ask for it, they don't get it. So I had that company for a decade, sold it
What
with
was
my
that
brother,
called?
DS and Associates. So we were
Okay.
700 dealerships around the country. I was all over the place, mainly the big three, Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler. But it was a great 10 years. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of dealers. I've been to some places in the country that most people probably have never seen or heard of, because I used to make sure I would visit every one of my stores at least once. I was taught the old days where you don't work for a company, you work with a person. So I wanted
Hmm.
these dealers to know me and know my face. So I would fly out. I was in Bend, Oregon. I've been in one stoplight towns in Arkansas and Kansas and fun places. But everyone I met was great. It was a great, a little over a 10-year run. And when my brother
Was
came to
that
me, good.
was that software related, or was that more of a manual process where you had people behind, the desk and looking at all the deals and matching up the incentives and seeing what you could, what maybe the dealership missed?
Well, when I started it, it was manual. It was me. I went into my godfather was a Ford dealership at the time, and I went into him and said, "Hey, I got an idea. Can I run this through your store?" And his accounting department was tight. I mean, I know my uncle, I know my godfather. He didn't miss anything. And he said, "Give it a whirl. You're not going to find anything." So I went down there and spent day and a half, 2 days. And I walked in and I dropped $75,000 on his desk. And not only was he thrilled, but he called the controller and it almost fired the controller because he's like, "We missed 75 grand." And
Wow,
so
that's a chunk.
and he was not a big dealer group. He didn't have massive volume. He was probably a small to medium sized dealer. So it was
Hmm.
fun because he literally picked up the phone, and this is how my business got started. He made 4 phone calls. He called 4 of his buddies around town. I went to them. I did the same thing. They called 4 buddies, and so far, so on. And next, I have 700 dealerships around the country. And I quickly realized I started in September with my godfather basically. And in January 1st, I had 45 dealers, and I was quickly realizing I'm in trouble.
Wow. Yeah.
So I went to a company who developed some software for me to help me automate this process. So, I quickly learned that was the only way I was going to be able to really scale this business, was because human capital was, one, too expensive, two, too hard to train, and three, it was easily repeatable. So I figured software was the way to do it. So that's how I was able to grow it with minimal staff. There was a couple of us who were doing it, all running through the software, and it was done. Everyone could work remote, which is great. There was no need for an office. There was no need for anything. So it was
Yeah.
spectacular to have.
Cool concept, man. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun. The manufacturers figured out after a couple of years, when I was starting to get some cease and desist letters, that I was probably not their favorite person, and I think it took them about 6 or 7 more years to change the way they did it. So my software didn't work anymore. But then I sold my book of business to a competitor, and he took it over and did it. It's, I believe, still doing it. I'm pretty sure they're still in business.
Wow.
So that was fun. And then my brother called me because he was running a large dealer group around the DC area, and basically said to me, I'm pulling my hair out. Like, I'm trying to find cars, and my brother, he will tell you, he's a he's an overgrown used car manager. He was a GM of a couple of franchises, but he loves the used car. He likes to get in it, source them, find them. How do you buy them? So he was struggling. He was buying 70, 80 a month from the auctions, and at that point in time, some of the digital platforms were relatively new, but he was
Hmm.
buying some from them, and he was just struggling. He had to hire a person to help him to kind of be his logistics guy, you know, to get the BOLs, to handle the phone calls, to make sure that the W-9s were attacked, to get the checks cut out, all those manual things. So he said to me, "Look, you got a moment? You're not doing anything right now. Come be my broker. Let's see if we can figure out some software behind this. So I spent the better half of 10 months with him moving his cars, as well as some of the other relationships that I had. I moved some of their cars. So we moved about 1,400 cars in 10 months. The interesting part, what we realized very quickly was, of course, how fragmented and manual this whole industry is. Dave, my brother Dave, knew the pain points from the dealer side. He was living it every day. We quickly realized the transporters had very similar pain points of inefficiency and of how do they get paid. So that's when Autosled was born. It was literally, we looked at each other over dinner one night and go, we got to put some tech behind this. We got to figure this out. This is actually kind of insane. So we spent the better part of a couple months kind of drawing the process out, talking to some of our people who are smarter than we are, that who've done this before and bought and sold companies, and how do we do this, how do we start this up. And we're lucky enough to get some funding right off the bat, and Autosled was born May of 2019.
Wow.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's cool.
It was interesting.
So that's how you segue into this industry. And you say, so you're partners with your brother?
I am partners with my brother. It's the first time we've ever worked together. It's been great. I got to be honest with you. We're best friends, and it's fun to work with him. I've never worked with him. We've never really done anything together. We've grown up together, but we were always age appropriate. We never played sports together. We were never on the same team together because we were a little over 2 years apart. So our ages never allowed us,
Gotcha.
And we're very competitive with each other. So we drive each other very hard, which is a good thing.
That's
So
good. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I also noticed interesting that he is the CRO and you're the CFO. So you both are got the dollars in mind.
We come from different aspects. Dave's a really talented sales guy. That he's always been sales first driven. He came up through like I did through the automobile business and the finance side of F&I, and then GSM and then GM, but he like I said, he's a deal guy. He's the if you any good partnership, there's the yin and the yang, right? He is the front man. He's the rah get out there. He gets everyone fired up. I'm a little bit more behind the scenes and handle kind of the nuts and bolts a little bit more. He's capable of doing it, but that's not his passion. And I'm not. I'm the other way. I'm capable of being the rah guy. That's not my passion. I enjoy the other side of the coin. I enjoy the numbers and the grind. And to me, looking at financial statements is exciting to me because they're clear, they're black and white. There's no discrepancy, there's no gray area, and that's what makes me happy. So that's how we broke the roles up.
Makes a lot of sense, and cool to have two founders looking over the dollars. I know any investor would probably appreciate that.
Yeah, we had a great group of initial investors who were a lot of local guys who, when we sat down with them, very quickly understood the problem. And it was great because we got phone calls the next week. I was driving by and I saw that truck that was 2/3 empty, just like you said. I didn't believe it. I never noticed it before, but now I notice them everywhere. And I'm like, this is what we're talking about. So it was kind of this funny, these guys these gentlemen have been very instrumental in helping us get going. They've been very forthcoming with their knowledge and their experience of business and such that founders have, but we're industry guys, but these guys come at it from a different angle as well. So it's always good to have smartest people in the room at all times. And my brother and I both believe the best idea wins. Might not be our idea, but the best idea will always win.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, can you tell us what Autosled is and what its mission is specifically?
So our mission is to be the biggest automobile digital broker in the world. I mean, we are driving that way now. We are a software platform that allows someone who needs a car shipped to get matched up with someone who will ship that car, who will move that car for them. Think Uber for cars. I mean, that hate to use the word someone else's company, but that's what we do. We take that old school manual process of picking up the phone, calling Danny DeVito in the taxi, cage, who then picks up the phone and calls one of his taxi guys to come get you. We're putting this together through tech. We're allowing these guys to make themselves more efficient, more profitable, just streamline the system from something that took 55 steps down to about 6. So that's what Autosled is. That's where we're going. That's where we're heading.
So you work on the dealership side, of course, the transportation side. From what I get, even the average consumer can use the service as well.
That is correct. We're focused really right now on the dealers. We do private moves as well. The individuals we do, snowbirds going up and down the coast for the winter and the summer
Yeah.
coming home, kids going to college, or people moving across country. We do those as well. We see that as a longer term strategy that we're going to kick down the road a little bit. We really want to get everything entrenched with our dealer model, which has been extremely successful, and we think that's the area to start in, and then kind of branch out some other different avenues. There's some other different verticals we can get into for moving cars as well, but we just haven't tapped into them just yet. We're just putting them on the back burner until we get ready.
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple different services out there from what I gather. And of course, there's always the old school. I forget which ones I used back in the day, but you would call them up and, you would coordinate everything. They had to call you back with a quote. I mean, it wasn't overly difficult, but it definitely put a dent in your day sometimes when you're waiting for phone calls and you're trying to coordinate 2 or 3 shipments. What separates, like, how does your technology work with that? What separates you from maybe some of the other services out there?
I mean, we're always available 24/7. I mean, we have a 24/7, customer service line, and my cell phone is on the website. Dave's cell phone's on the website. This goes back to our dealer days when, my brother's business card said dial the dealer, so you could call him directly. But our software specifically takes that process out, that lag time, which is money for a dealer, for anyone really. Time is money. So for that calling, waiting, hoping someone calls you back, then figuring out the cost, figuring out all the different price, those take time. And for a dealer, that time is expensive. So our software allows the dealer to automate that process, getting something into our system. It allows us instantaneous price quotes, so there's no waiting for that number. It also goes directly to our load board. We do a ton of what we call self-dispatch, which is it goes to our load board, and a transporter can instantaneously tap and take. Think again, like Uber. The driver sees a ride he wants to take, he taps and take. There's no human contact. So our transporters are doing that 60+% of the time now. So 6 out of every 10 of our transactions are frictionless, for lack of a better word, and done through without human contact. And that human contact is the choke point that slows everything down. Everything lives in our platform, from BOL, bill of lading imaging, to gate passes, to payment structure. It's all automated. All those processes are literally.
Well, I was taking out, it even looks like, I guess there's I wouldn't say an inspection piece, but, I guess for the transporter, they could take photos of the car. All that gets put into the app as well. I thought that was pretty cool the way that's all set up.
Yeah, that's been done for a while. I mean, we just put it in because it's part of the process that allows them not to have the manual process of pulling out the old piece of paper. And I'm sure you guys have seen. You guys have been around the cocktail napkin that says the car is good to go and someone signed it. I mean, this is in the days now with technology. The ability to have the camera imaging and all that stuff, it changes the landscape of the abilities for transporters and for dealers to have information.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've shipped a few cars as a seller, not usually not in my dealer days, but sold a few to California from the East Coast and whatnot, and being able to track where it is was not anything that was available.
Right.
And then I just had one brought here at the beginning of COVID from Chicago that we bought from a dealer out there. But and again, no tracking. And that was all like you had to call somebody, you had to old
Or you
school
wait
way of doing it.
Yeah,
you
being
wait
able
for
to
you
see on an app where the vehicle is, that definitely a huge benefit.
Yeah, you wait for your nightly update that says your vehicle is picked up, your vehicle's in transit, or your vehicle's delivered. If it's delivered, you should already know that. Our system has GPS tracking capability based off the transporters used in the app. It will give you real time pickup. So you'll get a notice that, hey, your vehicle is picked up. You'll get that BOL inspection. You'll get those pictures. You'll get all the things that it's been put on a truck. That is a learning curve and an education curve with the transporters, just like it is with the dealers. The days of Manheim, again, standing in the lane, raising your hand with a black book doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it does. People still do it, but that's not the norm. The norm is, digital auctions and technology that allows you to tell you want to spend X amount of dollars for the car. But that's taken years to education. So we're educating our transporters now, and we have some incentives that we're creating via software, via faster payment models, optimization and optimization engine to help them stay full, that they want to keep their GPS on. They want to be able to allow us to track it. One, because efficiency. It cuts down on us wasting their time calling, where are you, where are you, where are you?
Hmm.
We know on that ride from Chicago to Vermont, they're in Akron or they're in Cleveland, or they know where they are all the time. You don't have to worry about it. So, but then that's a learning curve, and it's still coming. It's still a slow process, but we see it continuing to increase. We also see it with some of the tech that we're creating on our roadmap, that it will become almost standard, because these guys, we have a we have some secret sauce we haven't brought out yet that is we're still in development. That we think these guys are going to keep it on all the time, because what we're going to be able to do for them.
And the
I
Domino's
would
pizza
always,
tracker is,
yeah.
Well,
but
we
but you
do
know
have
who
that.
does this well?
What'd you
Uh,
say?
so one of the manufacturers actually got this fairly down a long time ago. That was Mini Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So if
really?
you ordered a Mini, the dealer at least got updates as to, okay, that vehicle's on the production line and now
Right.
it's at the port in Germany or whatever. And they could call the customer and say, hey, Dan, guess what? Your car is, it's getting built now,
Yeah.
and that was great. It provided a great customer experience. And just thinking of ways to do that, um, potentially.
There are some ways that we can, we're in conversation. We've had some conversation with some OEMs about helping them with their transportation and logistics needs, because again, COVID shifted a lot of things with the shortage of inventory, the problems with the ports and where things are going. But there are ways to do that within each individual OEM. Again, it really comes back down to the transporters and their willingness and their ability to be tracked. But again,
Hmm.
we see it as a reward, not a punishment. Not that we have to do this, but you're going to want to do this because there's an incentive for you. So we see it something, like I said, some things that we're developing that's going to inspire them. The Mini Cooper, there's other companies out there that do this with some other things, from literally from the time it's on a ship. It can tell you tire pressure. It can tell you, if the car door is open or the windows left open. It can tell you all those things. But once it gets to a certain spot, it becomes a little harder to do that without having someone else on the other end handle it for you. But again, we see that becoming a norm, not a small percentage.
Yeah. I would think it'd definitely be beneficial. I ordered a kayak, I guess a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I do not recall what transportation service they used. It was a big box truck that was
Mhm.
delivered in, but the gentleman had GPS, and I could log onto the app and see. What I liked about it was I knew when to be home. I knew I
Yeah,
had to leave work a little bit early because he was only 15, 20 minutes away. And, I would think if you were a transporter, you would actually welcome that. That way you're not delivering the vehicle to someone, to a person's house, on the consumer side, and they're not there,
but
or even at the dealership.
there's that, but also, I mean, when you think about it from a dealer perspective, the dealers want to be able to schedule their incoming inventory, for service. How do I get it?
Hmm.
How do I set up my day of my service department for recon and inspections and getting the cars through the shop to get them frontline ready. If you don't know when they're coming, it makes it hard. For the transporters, so it's a no-brainer for the dealers. For the transporters, it's really about just letting them understand that this is a benefit to them, that it cuts down on the phone calls and the annoyance that all these guys are calling them on, number one. But again, the incentives that we can provide to them is the benefit for them. They will see that long term. This is going to become a standard fare, just like it was, switching from the paper VOL and the cocktail napkin to an e-bill of lading, which is what we have. So that's becoming the new norm, and these guys are getting used to it. Some still want to do it on paper, just because that's what they've done for
So they're used
20
to.
years, right?
Yeah.
But again, when you say to them, "Well, we don't take those," they go, "Okay, we'll use it," and then they figure it out. And it's as everything is. It takes time to change an industry that's been entrenched for so long.
So you're speaking on transporters. What's your process for vetting who becomes part of the Autosled, transporter community?
Yeah, so we have a very stringent policy. We run everything through a third party service, a couple of different ones that verify DOT compliance. We want to make sure they obviously have an active and legitimate DOT number. We make sure that their ENI number matches, so they're actually a true company. They're not just some guy who maybe stole someone else's DOT number. We also run it through a third party insurance server that bounces off of specific requirements that they meet our limits of liability based off their equipment. You don't want a 3-car hauler having $50,000 worth of insurance. You want them to have 100, 150, 200, 300,
Yeah.
depending. And you don't want a 9-car hauler having $100,000 because he can't tow 10. He's not going to tow $10,000 cars. That's so you got to be very specific. So our system takes the information that when they register, which takes 3 to 5 minutes, and then we basically get this green light, green light, green light, or green light, red light, and then we know where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to have conversation of, hey, we need to do this, or we need to do that, or hey, you're good to go. And we onboard them. It's very quick. It's very simple. We work with transporters. We have thousands on our platform currently, and we add them, 500 to 700 a month, if not more. They just keep coming, which is great. And we remove people. If someone's a bad actor or not doing what they say they're going to do, we give them the warning. We're very, we don't kick people off for one chance. We give them a couple strikes, but after third strike, we can't work with you. It just doesn't work because our clients expect a certain level of professionalism, a certain level of accuracy, and that's what we're providing. So we're the ones ultimately responsible for them. So we have to be conscious consistently of adding and removing the right people.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's got to be done.
Well, you don't ever want to tell someone no, you're not going to give them business. But, I had a phone call today where I had to kind of, for lack of a better word, carrot and stick, as we always say. You want to give someone the carrot, to give someone the stick. I had to give them the stick a little bit, and I apologized. And I said, look, I'm taking a chance. This is it. This is your last chance. He did what he did what he was supposed to do. He already picked it up. He thought he was going to be there in a couple hours. Got the notification he was there in a couple hours. It was not a long trip. I'm sure by the time we're done with this, he'll be there. He'll be very close. We'll be able to see. I said, I want to track you, keep it all on. He said, okay. So I'm sure I'll be able to get the updates because I'll go out and see. I can follow his video trail of where he is or his trail and so again, it's not a punishment. I said, look, we're not holding you to any other standard that you wouldn't expect. You're asking for something. You want to be paid and promptly and efficiently. This is what we need to do that. And if you can't do that, then you can't work with us. And again, sometimes people, they don't care that it's their rules. But this is our sandbox. And if you want to play in it, you got to play by our rules.
Yep. Makes sense. How many dealerships do you have underneath your umbrella right now? And how does the dealership go about? It seems like it's pretty easy to sign up.
It's very easy to sign up. I believe as of the last count, we had 1,700 stores on our platform. Wow. So, and it's very easy to sign up. Again, dealer's a little bit easier. I mean, dealer, you don't need to vet a dealer. I mean, the OEMs, you have the Mercedes shirt on. I'm walking Mercedes dealership. I feel pretty good that that their money's probably pretty good. They're pretty well funded. I don't have to worry about a paycheck. Our dealers, our dealers pay via ACH and through credit card to make their life easier. The days of cutting checks at the end of every month, waiting for invoices, they can get real time invoices. Well, the one thing for a dealer, and this is where dealers, this has been a change for the dealer side. This is education for the dealer side. The days of cutting checks at the end of every month and getting 40 or 50 or 60 transport bills, waiting for the BOL to match it up to. Do you have the W-9 to match it up?
They still do it.
Right.
They still do it. Lots of dealerships still do that.
Even with us, some of them want to cut checks. And I look at them and I talk to the controllers and I go, why? And they're like, well, that's how we've always done it. And I said, okay, I get that. I said, but let me ask you a question. If you got that used car in on today and you could know that was a $500 transport, wouldn't you want to book that out immediately so you know the cost of your car? So God forbid,
I think so.
One of your techs could turn it tonight and get it to the front line for tomorrow or Monday morning. You have the accurate cost when you go to book that car out. And their response is, well, of course, because I don't want to open the book 60 days from now and alter my numbers and go backwards and then charge the salesman back, charge the sales manager back. No one wants to charge back. So we've convinced these guys, and again, it's an ongoing process. You always have to have the conversation that it's real time. We're going to bill you. You pay us in real time. You guys have the information. You know the true cost of the unit you're bringing in. And what we do is we pay our transporters in 2 business days direct in their bank account. Which is not even fast enough for us. We want to pay them faster, and we're working on some things to pay them faster. And what that does is it locks the transporter in to get those vehicles quick and fast.
Yeah.
So we sell that to the dealer that it's speed. We can get the car to you days and days faster. Based off our numbers, we're moving faster, about 40 to 50% faster than the 3 biggest other players out there right now, which again, time is money for a dealer. So we ask the dealers, because we have to pay so quick, we want our money faster. Because again, we're providing a service which you guys get to, and most of the dealers understand it because they want, for them, they want the car in their inventory to turn it because they want to free the capital up and sell another car.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all have any plans to get into the dealer exchange business?
That was my question.
What do you mean, like platform dealer to dealer?
Yeah. So we're providing the drivers, at least as a resource the dealer could use in your app and then be able to.
Well, we do a lot of new car. Before COVID hit, we were doing a ton of new car business, moving new cars to new cars. Again, you're wearing the Mercedes shirt, you can't drive those cars. The DXs of the old days, even if it was 40 miles across town, those cars had to be put on a flatbed. And a lot of those, the BMWs, the Mercedes of the world, they still require that. So before we did the used car business, which really took off, the new car business slowed down because of the chip. We were about 60-40 new to used. We have a lot of highline dealers on our group who were doing the dealer trade. So we will move the new cars for the dealers. As far as the retailing of the cars, no, we have no interest in getting into that because there's 53 current digital retail platforms.
We know.
I think you're a little low on that count, Dan.
Well, funny story. That's how the original idea of Autosled was to help dealers trade new cars. And then, of course, as we flushed it out, we looked at each other and go, "Who's moving the cars?" Like we ran into the logistics problem. So that's when we're like, Dave and I sat down and said, maybe we should solve for that problem because everyone else is doing the other thing. So we will help dealers move new car inventory. We've done a lot of misallocations as well with some of our dealers who, again, coming from the dealer world like you guys do, you want that hot Mustang, you got to take those Fiestas that you don't want. So someone wants them, so you're going to ship those 10 Fiestas somewhere else. So we help the dealers with that as well. So we'll do, we've moved boats, we've moved motorcycles. Really? We've moved a forklift. We've moved a trailer, which someone unhooked their trailer to tow the trailer. So, we don't. That's not what we really do. These were for friends of ours, but we wanted to see if we could get it done, just to kind of see what else was out there. So we've moved some interesting things. We moved a toolbox. I don't know. Someone wanted.
Hey, they're heavy
and they're expensive.
Well, no, the
Yeah, it
car
makes
came
sense.
with a
They're as
tool.
much as some cars.
Yeah, the car came with a toolbox. I guess
Ah,
maybe it was
huh.
sold with that. I don't know. So, but yeah,
No.
but yeah, we will move and we move the new cars. We allow our dealers to play on the platform with anything they want to move, whether it's auction to dealer, dealer to auction, dealer to dealer, dealer to consumer, consumer back to dealer.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of dealerships, or I should say groups, dealer groups, they sort of got their own logistics team. They're doing their own shipping, delivery, all that good stuff. Have you worked with any maybe groups that had that implemented and decided maybe it was, at least give Autosled a shot? And then how did that progress? How did that work out for them?
Well, some of our biggest clients actually had their own logistics departments and they moved,
Okay.
they were handling, like you said, the old school way. They were doing it the old school way, fielding the phone calls, or they were dealing with a middleman broker. Um, the ones that we took over pretty quickly, uh, they reassigned that person. That person's been shifted. They've closed their departments down completely and have
Oh,
reassigned them
wow.
to another role in the dealership because we take all of that stress out of their lives. We make it easier for them. The days of having an Excel spreadsheet or a notebook full of piece of paper, it all lives on our platform. The dealers can walk in and look at, anywhere down from the group level. So, if you're a 40 car dealership, they can look at all 40 cars at a clip, all 40 dealerships at a clip, down to what we call it. We call it parent child. They're the parent. They want to look at one of their children's individual stores and see what's going on there. They can drill down to that level and then farther down from there. So these guys have
Hmm.
access on the platform. They don't need someone to do it. We are that person for them. So it's been very successful. And we've taken over where some of the dealer groups have reassigned personnel to other spots in the dealership because that position is eliminated.
Yeah, it's definitely when you get out of taking ups or fixing cars or parts or whatnot and get into other parts of the industry. Yeah, you have to have specific talent to make it work a lot of the
Well,
time.
I think to do this, you have to have some patience. You have to be, detail oriented, and you got to be focused on customer service. Again, we have two sides of customers. Our transporters are our customers too. We want to treat them well and make sure they're taken care of because, again, without them, the other side doesn't matter. We could have every car dealership in the world. If we can't get the cars moved, it doesn't matter. And same with the dealers. We got to take care of what they need to take care of, and they have different needs and different wants. I mean, it's somewhat the same because they work hand in hand. But if you don't take care of one, you don't take care of the other. But what we see is the opportunity for a dealership group that has a logistics department is we're going to take the stress out of it. We're going to take someone's day-to-day grind and stress of that person having to consistently try to make sure everything's covered because example, one of our dealer groups who we got after this incident, they were moving F-150s the old-fashioned way. Hey, with a two old retirees who would jump in a car and drive it 60 miles. And coming up the road, they were driving an F-350 dually. It was totaled. So it was a $60,000 loss
Mm,
between the write off, the other car they hit, the deductible, and all that.
Mhm.
And the policy became no more drivers. We're done. So
yeah.
we take over all that. And if there's an insurance issue, we handle it with the transporters. We take the check, we write the check, we collect back. We will make sure the dealer is taken care of and whole quickly. But they don't have to worry about that liability because in theory, if that if the driver, if it was a transport company, the person who's in charge of logistics, did they check that they had the right insurance? Did they have the right insurance? Do they actually have insurance? Are they allowed to move the vehicle? These are things that we all take for granted. We're all in the car
Yeah.
business, but I can guarantee you a sales manager or a used car manager, an inventory, they're not doing it. And really
Mm.
it's not their job.
Well, they got a
Your
photocopy of the driver's license. Isn't that enough?
maybe. I mean, but a sales manager and an inventory or a used car manager, their job's not to bring the inventory in, it's to get rid of the inventory. So to bring someone in to help you bring the inventory in it's not worth it. I mean, you have enough people out there, and of course we are taking this space very seriously with our tech because we want to make it as easy as efficient as possible, so the guys out there who sell the cars can do their job, which is sell the cars.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Did did you see, like, once COVID hit? Because you were mentioning that earlier. Was it, once the dust settled around that? Was there any? Did you see anything that was happening differently, or was there a boom? Because you said obviously new cars sort of dropped, used cars took a big jump. Did anything else come out of that?
What was the most interesting thing about the time during COVID was, so we built a product from basically May to February of 2020, and COVID hit and everything shut down. So we doubled down. We continued to build software very aggressively. We actually did a lot of outreach to get transporters on board it. We had 600 transporters on our platform before we'd actually had a dealer signed up. These, it's free. Come on, let me tell you what we're trying to do, what we're trying to build, and we have probably 85% of them are still active on our platform working for us. Unfortunately, some of them have just gone out of business because of COVID. It just killed them. But what we
Mm-hmm.
saw really was the decentralization of where vehicles were. The old hub and spoke, the old standing in the Mannheim auction, has become more dealer to dealer. So all the vehicles being picked up from one point are now being picked up from multiple points. Instead of a transporter going up on a Friday to Mannheim, Pennsylvania, and finding 6 or 7 cars, they have to go to 6 or 7 dealerships because the cars are being kept at the dealerships. So those moves are becoming more fragmented, which is causing more disruption to the market.
Okay.
So what we see is, again, technology is going to help streamline that. That's the biggest change that COVID's brought. I don't think it's really brought much more. Besides, it's also increased directly to home consumers, which, again, the Tesla has already started, but I see that potentially being a focus of the other OEMs in the future. I mean, I can't speak for them, but I do see that happening more and more.
What your transporters? Do you guys do anything to sort of help represent the dealership, or is it just very third party ish? We are Autosled. I've seen a few where they've got a few. What would you call it? Pop material, whatever, that helps represent the dealership as they're doing the delivery. Do you stay out of that realm, or do you?
We try to stay out of it because we want to be a neutral party. Because, again, we don't want to
Okay,
alienate any of the dealers. I mean, we have a handful of dealer groups who are investors in our company because they see the need
that
for
makes
it,
sense.
and so
Yeah.
they've come on board full tilt. Are very excited by what we're doing. We envision being the engine that runs this industry, the powered by button. We think with the tech we're building, it will literally change the marketplace, and we'll be able to drive all the units through our platform. Whether we're the one actually handling the facility, the facilitating the move with, but personally through our company, or if they just run through our platform and taking advantage of our network. This industry is so broken, it's so old school, it is so manual. We believe that with what we're creating and continue to create and roadmap with our team, that this is
Mhm.
this is going to be the platform that drives this thing to the next century.
So, what is your end game then?
I mean, there's a couple different versions. I mean, as Dave says, my brother, love him. The Disney stories will ring the bell on Wall Street one day for Autosled. I think, but really, we just want to take something that we're passionate about. We love the car business. Again, we were born and bred into this thing, which I think most car people understand. It's a different industry, so people love the car business or they hate the car business. We love the car business, and we just want to make it more efficient. We think there's an opportunity to change the mentality that this is not a negative. That the logistics space is not a bad space. It's full of great people. We talk to our transporters all the time. We love some of these guys. I mean, we speak 6 languages in our office and in ops. These guys, you hear Russian, Ukrainian, Polish,
Oh wow.
Spanish, French, English. So we speak a lot, and these guys there's relationships there. We have transporters come to the office, and it's like old family kind of. And these guys have a hard life. The dealers have hard lives. I mean, it's hard work in a car dealership. It's a lot of hours. We all know. But we see the future of Autosled just being able to change this industry and be the powered by button. If you do your job, if you do something you love and you do your job well, everything else follows in place. We just want to continue to change this industry. We think we have the capability and the people to do it.
Well, it sounds like that's the direction you're headed. If a dealership wants to check out AutoSled, or maybe they got some questions they want to reach out to you, how can they go about doing that?
I mean, there's several ways. You can go to autosled.com. We have obviously our website. I believe my cell phone's probably on there. If not, call the 877 number, which is, we did our best to make it 800 Autosled, but I couldn't get a 2 number. So it's 7 Autosled. That's the best we could do. But if they can reach out to me via email as well, Dan at Autosled, or my brother David Autosled. Literally, our emails and our phones are literally on our hip, as I say, 24/7. So I've answered phone calls at 2 a.m. from a transporter trying to find a place to drop it off, and we love it, and this is what we do, and we're passionate about it. So they can do that. They can reach out to anyone on our Autosled team. Everyone will take care of them. We have great people.
Well, I was taking notice to the sign up on the website. It's pretty straightforward, and then from there you just download the app. Mm-hmm. My guess is you got 2 different apps. You got an app for the consumer side, the transporter side, and the dealership side, correct?
We're not working. We don't have a dealer one just yet. We haven't worked on it. Okay. We're working on it right now. It's on our roadmap. The dealers mostly sit at desks, so we really flushed it out. We have one in progress. We have it's being structured and built and continue to be roadmap, because we do see a need for it for specific things. But again, we're working through some of our dealer partners to really make sure we have what's needed. I mean, we're lucky enough to have great dealer partners that we lean on and say, what do you guys think of this? Let me show you something we're working on. Let me drive this through you guys. Do you like it? Do we need to shift it? Most of our great ideas have not come from, my brother, myself, our Autosled team. They've come from people who are in the industry as well. And we'll listen to anyone's idea. We might not take it, but we'll listen to it. But I bet you 80% of our creation has come from people saying, have you ever thought about blank? And
I'm sure.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. And then we'll sit down with them. I mean, I sit down with the dealer group. One of the guys who runs a dealer group for the logistics, he's on the buying side, once a month, and we just talk about the industry. And hey, I was wondering, have you guys? We would like something like this. Have you heard this from any other dealers? So we then take that idea, bounce it back some other dealers, and you get some yeahs, and we're like, okay, let's go out and build this. Let's figure out how to do this. Then we run it by them, beta test it back and forth, and then something new comes up. I mean, again, we have a beautiful dashboard that gives dealers probably detailed data information they've never had before about their logistics. Again, we know because we're old car guys. A dealer financial statement will tell you everything down to what color pens you spend on, how much blue color pens. One line it doesn't have: logistics. It doesn't have freight. It doesn't tell you. It gets rolled into the car. Why? I mean, it's part of it. So we provide these guys with, where you're buying from, how much it costs to get there, what the time frame is on a real time basis. So these guys are able to really dig in and go, we need to stop buying in Michigan. It's a nightmare right now. It's really expensive and it takes twice as long. Buy in Florida, it's really good. And they can make buying decisions based off their habit, based off what we provide them, which is, data is power. And these guys, especially in today's tech, with all the other platforms out there that help you find the car, what you should pay for it, what's popular, what you should price it at. We're just giving them another piece of the puzzle that they've never had before.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's great.
It's fun.
Awesome, man. Well, I guess you're not too, I get, are your main offices in Bethesda?
Our main office is right outside of DC in Bethesda. Yep. We have people around we have people around the country. We have some tech team, around the country as well. Some out of the country as well. But the bulk of our team is here in Bethesda.
Well, next time I'm down in those woods, which isn't very often.
You come down,
I'll
it's great
stop by
down
and
here.
say hi. Nah, I stay out of that area now. No, it's all good.
Yeah,
Bethesda's a great area.
it's lovely down here. Again, coming back home from Baltimore, where I lived for almost 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
has been fun. The things that were here when I was a kid or in high school are now gone, but it's fun. I mean, it's good to come home. I'm working with my brother. Our mother actually works here. She's our controller, which is good and bad. And I love my mom, and I hate my mom at times. But fun. But again, it's Autosled is a fun place. We try to keep it light and fun. Again, it's a stressful environment as it can be. You know,
Cool.
you working with people, working with good people makes the company great, and that's what we're trying to do is hire the right people.
Sure does.
Startup life.
It's fun.
It
Again,
is fun.
if you love it, which we do, we love the car business. This is a joy to us.
Awesome. Well, Dan, we really appreciate your time today, and we'll get a recording of this over on DealerRefresh, and that's another area if dealerships want to reach out. And of course, you guys have some ads over there as well, so they can click on the ads.
Absolutely.
But yeah, again, we appreciate it, man, and congratulations on going full steam ahead with this.
Well, thank you guys for
a
the
growing, seriously strong growing business you've made there.
Well, thanks. We're just getting started, and we're excited for the future and where we're headed. And I thank you guys for the time and the platform. It was awesome. It was first time on a podcast. A little nervous. I was told by our marketing team to make sure I cleaned up because I normally have a baseball hat, and a T-shirt on. So
you forgot to shave this morning, man.
I did shave this morning. This is my afternoon 5 o'clock shadow. But I put a collared shirt on, so I'm trying to look presentable. So, but thank you guys again. It was a pleasure, and it's fun to talk to some guys from the car business who really love it. So,
awesome, man.
Look forward to speaking
more.
All
right. Well, yep. Make it a great weekend.
You guys too. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone.
Bye everybody.